Alright, so welcome back to another video on Node.js from zero to mastery. So luckily for us, let me assign here this key, the credentials, so I can log in here. We'll go for the model here on Node, and here we are, right? Cool. Now, so with this, okay, on socket specifically, sockets here. So after I went through this entire course review in the past two episodes or two videos, well, now I'm looking at sockets. And we're all describing as sockets. A socket is one of the most interesting and fundamental part of the internet. Okay? So to understand what socket is, let's going to imagine is a chat application. So with all the things that we already know, sending an image is something trivial, and reading a message, sending a message is something trivial using a post, and reading message is easy as well using a get. But how can we know when we receive some data? For example, when we send a message, perhaps we receive that immediately after we send the post request, or a couple hours later, or perhaps our friend is not that enthusiastic and end up replaying a couple days later, right? So the question is that how do we ask for data, or how do we ask for data for new servers, for new message? So how do we ask a how do we ask to the server for new message? Okay, and the answer lies on sockets. So to understand and to answer the question is when to fetch data from the server, and this is specifically data that we don't control, that is generated by someone else, we haven't created that, or it is in its, or it may have in its own life cycle. Okay, so for example, self-driving cars, where all of this data you cannot predict when a pedestrian will pop up, right? For example, or a traffic light. Uh, So to deal with these kind of situations, okay, for data that we don't control, or data that we didn't create. So for example, the chat message application where our friend is sending data or message to ourselves, or well, in self-driving cars, when you cannot predict when another car is taking the lead, or when a car suddenly hit the brakes. Okay, so we deal often with these kind of situations quite effectively, actually, with something called polling, which is sending a get request over a period of time so often, and when that period has passed, we send a new get request in a loop essentially. Okay, and this pattern or this approach may come with some issues. So for example, is when or how often do we need to fetch data, or when do we need data? Okay, so how often do I need to fetch data? Or is there even a right period of time to fetch data? It doesn't depend on how often the data changes on the backend. So because polling, the best we can do is to with polling the best we can do is just good enough, right? So with a 5 millisecond latency like this, when we had this pseudocode, so with this 5 milliseconds latency, you will add 5 millisecond delay for all of your updates. So in your whole app, and this might be good for a chat app. Okay, so this delay or adding this period of making requests, making get requests in a loop. For chat applications, this 5 milliseconds latency that will add 5 milliseconds delay for all updates in our applications might be okay. But what about the real stuff? For example, self-driving cars, trading, and games. Okay, so we're going to build this ping pong game. Okay, uh, but for chat applications, might be okay to add this 500 milliseconds. But now think about this. We're sending is 2 requests per second. In a minute, we're sending 120 requests per second. So now imagine that you have 10,000 users. So, or you need a powerful server or a different approach. So sockets come here to the rescue. So socket is an opening or a hollow that forms a holder for something. Okay, and I'm going to keep with that concept because this is the core of this. So a socket is an opening or a hollow that form a holder for something. Okay, that's what a socket is. It's an opening. It's an opening or a hollow that forms a holder for something. Hmm. So for example, you have electrical, an electrical, an electric bull socket, for example. You got an electric bull socket, the eye socket, the eye socket. So this something when it comes to describing a socket, which is an opening or a hollow that forms a holder for something. This something is data in our case, in the context of the network, computer network. So this something is data, and the data sockets allow to connect and allow you. So this data socket is an opening in a computer system which you can connect to send message, to send and receive message or data. So it's a holder for these connections. Okay, it's a holder of this connection in a network computer. Perhaps because the concept right now to me is quite abstract. Okay, and especially when you talk about the computer system, uh, and it is abstract. Let's go to simplify our life, right? Let's go to simplify our life. So sockets is an opening or a hollow that forms something or that form a holder for something. Okay, so they're opening or a hollow that form a holder for something. So, for example, electrical bill, socket, and the eye socket. So, the something in the definition means data in our context. So, a data socket is an opening on a computer system in your laptop server, even in your mobile, is an opening in your computer system in which you can connect to send and receive data. So it's a holder, those sockets, there are holders for this type of connection, or for these connections in a network computers. So there are several keywords important to understand, like computer system that can perform computations, computer system, and network systems. Okay, so when you talk about here computer systems, let me look at the Wikipedia definition. I prefer to have at least that definition, that nothing. And network computers. Computer system. Interesting. What about Wikipedia? Computer systems. Computer system. Capability system. What? A computer. Or a computer. So a computer is a machine that can be programmed to carry out sentence of arithmetic and logical operations automatically. Okay, a computer system is nominally complete computer that include the hardware, operating systems, which is the main software, and peripheral equipment needed and used for full operation. This term may also refer to group of computers that are linked and function together, such as computer network or computer cluster. So we're looking now at the computer network or network computers. It's part of the distributed, and this is something very, very interesting. You know, a computer network is a set of computers sharing resources located on or provided by network nodes. The computer use common, the computer use common communication protocol over digital interconnection to communicate with each other, and these communication protocols are the IP protocol, and then on top of that, what is opening, and then on top of that, you have is the datagram or UDP, where uh, low latency is more important, and then you have on top of the IP socket the TCP. This is based on connections. So before to send any message, you need to connect to others. This is for what this is when reliability is more important, and then on top of this uh, uh, TCP sockets, you have web sockets that allow is this two-way data binding communication between the client and the server, the browser and the server, and the HTTP allows you a half duplex communication. So okay, the WebSockets is a JavaScript feature that allow this two-way communication. Mhm. Okay, this is actually pretty interesting. This is actually pretty interesting, completely, because the data that they tell you, or the data that from Zero to Mastery course they show you, is data that is relevant. It is uh, relevant to this type of things that we're gonna do. Sockets in nodes. how to create a socket. Something that I quite familiar because I helped build a chat app using Socket, and then I saw the beauty of this, and it's like, what the hell? Completely, man, completely. It's like, okay. So, in any case, so we have these two concepts, right? We have a computer system. So, a computer is a machine that can be programmed to take or to perform arithmetical and logical operations automatically, right? So that's what a computer does. Okay? A computer system is normally the computer that includes the hardware, the operating system, and peripherals. So, for example, when we talk about here, uh, the so the data socket is an opening in computer systems. Okay, for example, in your laptop is the hardware, the software, and any of the peripherals, right? And this is something important if you're going to explain that. Okay, and peripheral equipment, and peripheral equipment. Okay, and peripheral equipment. So a laptop most of the time come with all of these features built in. So for example, in desktop, where you need is the speaker, the keyboard, the mouse, the monitor, perhaps the UPS. I think it's UPS. Um, unit, unit protection. Mm, okay. Uninterrupted electricity. Uninterruptible power supply. Jesus. Okay. All right. Oh, all right. Okay. Now I understand what their siglas, what their, what this mean. Okay. A large data center scale EPS being installed by electricians. Mm. Voltage spike and sustained over the voltage. Momentary or sustained reduction in input voltage. Noise defined as high frequency tracing or oscillation, instability of the main frequency. Harmonic distortion. Technology. Offline standby. Line interactive. Impulse 1 multiple redundancy outdoor use in solar inverter or PV inverter or solar converter. Harmonic distortion. Mhm. Batteries. Common batteries and characteristic and load testing. Testing of string and battery cells. Series and parallel battery interaction. Series new old battery interactions. But okay. But UPS mean stands for uninterruptible power supply. So that's another peripheral. Okay, that's another peripheral equipment. Okay. Uh, this is something very important to lay out here. Okay, so a computer system or a computer. Okay, a computer system is a computer, a programmable, mhm, a programmable machine, a programmable machine that perform arith, arithmetical and logical operations. Mhm. Automatically. Automatically. This is interesting. This is very, very interesting and important. Okay, a computer system is a computer, a programmable machine that performs arithmetic and logic operations automatically. Uh, exactly. That includes hardware, software, the main OS as the main software. Okay, the OS as the main software and peripheral peripheral equipment. Laptops most of the time comes with all this all this thing built in, whereas desktop you need a more mhm. Whereas desktop you to connect to each need to connect to each one of them. Mhm. Whereas on desktop, you need to connect to each one of them. The monitor, speakers, keyboard, mouse, perhaps UPS, an interrupted power supply. Okay. And this communication of data is what the internet is based on. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So that is socket. Okay. So socket is an opening or a hollow that can form a holder for something. For example, electrical bulb socket or the eye socket. So in this case, the something is data. So data socket is an opening of a computer system, and a computer system, yeah, it's an opening in a computer system, which is a computer, uh, a computer system, right? So a computer system is a computer, it's a machine, it's a programmable machines that perform arithmetical and logic operations automatically. That includes the computer system. That is a computer, and a computer system include is the hardware, the software. The OS is the main software, and peripheral equipment. So laptop most of the time comes with this built-in, whereas on desktop, yeah, whereas on a desktop, you need to connect each one of them. So the monitor, speakers, keyboard, mouse, perhaps an UPS. Okay, and this communication of data is what the internet is based on. So this is to explain in simple terms what is a computer system, and when it comes to computer network, okay, a computer network is a set of computer sharing resource located on or provided by network nodes. So the computer use common communication protocols over digital interconnections to communicate with them each other. These interconnections are made up of telecommunication network technology based on physical wire, optical, and wireless radio frequency methods that may be arranged in a variety of network topology. Network topology. Yeah, in a variety of network topology. If you have ring, mesh, star, fully connected, tree, bus, or line. It followed somewhat the data structure. Mhm. It's a photo that they take and they upload that photo on their website. Mm, interesting. That was interesting. Mm, mm. Wireless technology, microwave, communication satellites, cellular and PCS system use several radio communication technologies. The system divides the regions covering into multiple geographic areas. Each area has a lower power transmitter or radio relay antenna device to relay calls from one area to the next area. Radio and spread spectrum technologies. And radio and spread spectrum technology. Wireless local or network use a high frequency radio technology similar to the digital cellular and low frequency radio technology. The internet engineering technical standard and specify a set of media access control, and physical layer protocols for implementing wireless local area WLAN computer communication. Mm, exotic technology. There have been various attempts at transporting data over exotic medium. IP over avian carriers was real humorous April Fool's request for comment. IP over avian carriers. Man, you can laugh at this. Extending the internet to interplanetary dimensions via radio wave, the interplanetary internet. Mm. Extending the internet to interplanetary dimensions. Interplanetary internet will limit the speed at which messages will be able to travel in the interplanetary internet. In this example, it takes light 1.26 seconds to travel from Earth to the Moon. Due to the vast distance involved, much longer delay may occur than in the Earth-bound internet. Mm, interplanetary internet. Okay. Yeah, because right now, simplified interplanetary internet, strategic plan 9 from outer space, the deep impact mission, the annuity, mm, interplanetary internet implementation, Earth orbit, interplanet, delay tolerant networking, intergalactic computer network, nano network. Mm, deep impact networking. The interplanetary network or internet interplanetary internet protocol. Okay, the delay tolerant networking research program is a primary group researching delay tolerance networking. Additional research efforts focus on various use of new technology. The Cancel Mars telecommunication orbiter has been planned to establish an interplanetary internet link between the Earth and Mars in order to support other Mars missions. Rather than using RF, it will have to use optical communication, using lasers, beams for the higher data rates. Laser comes information using beams of light and optical elements, such as the telescope and optic amplifier, rather than RF signals, amplifiers, and antennas. Mm, okay, okay. These people are pushing the limits. These people are pushing the limits. But in any case, okay, that was too. You know, that's exactly what happened when you starting to learn an aspect, or when you go to a particular course and they teach you a lot of these things that might be curious. They are great for historical purpose or anthropological purpose, but they have very few to do that in the moment right now. However, if you want to dive deep into those fields, right? If you want to be a pioneer, or you want to make a PhD, great. But if you're not, you only need to know the necessary to keep up, maintain, or provide a service. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Okay, okay. So what I'm doing here is just outline is a couple concept here. So uh, so data socket is a holder for this connection in a network computers. And when you look at here the network computers, uh, is the arrangement of elements, and this is not network topology. Computer network is a set of computers sharing resources located on or provided by network nodes. The computer use common communication protocol over detailed interconnections to communicate within each each other. These interconnections are made up of telecommunication network technology based on physical wire, optical, and wireless radio frequency method that may be arranged in a variety of network topologies. So in any case, a computer network is a set of computers sharing resources located on or provided by network nodes. And a network node in telecommunication, nodus, is either a redistribution point of telecommunication input. Mm, So a computer network is a set of computers sharing resources located on or provided by network nodes. When you talk about these network nodes, okay, it's either a redistribution point or a communicational endpoint. And a node is either a redistribution point or a communication endpoint, an API, an endpoint in the API. And this is part of the core concept of the entire internet. Okay? Alright, okay. Okay. Things are starting to make sense much more right now. Great. Okay. Great. Great. Yeah, completely. Things are starting to make sense right now. Okay. So a socket from the definition of Merriam-Webster. So a socket is yeah. Yeah, so a socket is an opening or a hollow that forms a holder for something. So an electric bulb socket, the eye socket. So something here is data. So a data socket is an opening in a computer system. A computer is a machine that it's a programmable machine that performs arithmetical and logic operations automatically, and a computer system is a computer with these machines, including hardware, software, OS is the main software, and peripheral equipment. So this opening in computer systems uh, that allow us to send and receive data, okay, or in which you can connect because this is important, okay. So a data socket is an opening on a computer's. So a data socket is an opening in a computer system uh, which you connect to send and receive data. In the case of socket or these data sockets, you need to connect them. Why you need to connect them? Because that is based on the IP sockets. Okay, that's basically the building block on the internet. The IP socket. You have datagram sockets where low latency is more important, or also called AKA UDP. TCP sockets. These are connected based. So before you send a message, you need to connect this other computer system, and WebSockets is a JavaScript features for two-way data binding communication, whereas HTTP is half duplex communication. So you have to send before receiving. Mm, okay, okay. To recap, so what is a socket? Is an opening or a is an opening or hole that forms a holder of something for something. For example, an electrical bulb socket, your eye socket, and the data here on this something here is data. So a data socket is an opening In a computer system, and a computer is a programmable machine that performs arithmetical and logic operations automatically, and systems involved is the hardware, and the system, the computer system include is the hardware, the software. The OS is the main operating software. The OS is the main software, and it is peripheral equipment. Okay, so data sockets are an opening in these computer systems, uh, which you connect to send and receive data. So data socket is a holder of this connection. Okay, data socket is a holder of these connections in a network computer. A network computer is a set of computers. Okay, you can imagine even your mobile is a computer. Okay, so it's a set of computers. Your mobile, my mobile, from your mom, your dad, your friends. So your mobile, okay, or a computer network is a set of computers sharing resources located on or provided by network nodes. And network nodes is either a redistribution point or a communication endpoint. This, my friend, will summarize this video. And with that, I wish you the best. Take care. Bye bye.